Hello and welcome to the Sacred Gates Ascension podcast. My name is Illura and welcome back to the channel or welcome to the channel, and please feel free to share this video on laziness with anybody else that you know could benefit. Now, laziness is a substance like any other. It is also known as one of the 7 deadly sins, and I'm sure in all religions there is a warning about laziness, especially on the planet today. You may have noticed that there is a huge amount of laziness going on. People's minds have become more lazy. People's bodies are showing signs of laziness through being overweight. There's a lot of overweight people on the planet today. That's also includes skinny fat and obese fat. And we also have laziness in the way people just use their phones, and kind of critical thinking's gone down, and it's just a mess. Laziness is an incredible entity, and if you tune into the entity, because we all have laziness, it's like a monster in a sense within us, like a real entity, then we all have it. You realize that everybody does have it. Now, some people have more control over it. Others have the volume, turned up way loud, and they don't have any control or even awareness of how poisonous this entity is. And so it's laziness kind of really, if you think about it, is actually, it's an aversion to the expenditure of energy. It feels like when you feel lazy, you don't want to expend energy. You're trying to conserve your energy. Unfortunately, the illusion of laziness is that by conserving your energy, you're doing something good for yourself. But as you know, and I'm sure you've had this experience, just say if your goal is to get fit and healthy and you join a gym and you start going to the gym, before you start going to the gym and you realize you're a lazy so-and-so, you have very little energy. And it just feels like everything takes energy, and you have no energy to actually expend energy anyway. It's very mental, but it does affect your physical body deeply, your astral body as well. And when you join that gym and you start, kicking up your inertia and getting, your endurance up and your courage, and you start to go and take exercise more seriously and you start bringing in more energy, you have more energy. So the illusion of laziness is that by not expending energy, you conserve it. But that is not true, is it? When you actually spend energy wisely and skillfully and for achieving your goals and giving of service of yourself, you actually have a huge amount of more energy, an abundance of energy. So, in a relatively short amount of time, your energy levels start increasing more and more, whereas before, spending that energy, you felt drained of your own energy. So laziness actually is an entity that feeds off you. It feeds off your inaction, yeah? And what laziness does is that it dulls everything. So people who are really lazy often kind of have a certain kind of stupidity to them. I'm not saying that they are flat out stupid. Stupidity comes from many things. It's not just people being stupid. But when you are lazy, you don't put the effort in. You assume things. You don't put in the effort to critically think about things. Your logic goes down. You're ruled by that entity. There's a spectrum of being ruled by that entity. And it does dull critical and logical thinking. It dulls your brain and it dulls your awareness. So you're shutting off your consciousness because it takes energy to use your consciousness. And so you're actually shutting it down. And by shutting it down, you're shutting and closing down your awareness. And people who are lazy, or who are being controlled by the entity of laziness, I should say, also tend to have to suffer more before they change. Someone who's really into correcting error and noticing and using their awareness to fix things and put energy into where they need to do things differently in all areas of their life, generally their suffering is going to be less than someone who takes a long time, can't be bothered. And it's not until everything's really falling and crashing down around them that they then get into gear. But it's the huge amount of suffering they have to get through. They need more pain, which we've all relate to in our life. Sometimes we do just need more pain before we can change, for pain is a great teacher. But, it really dulls the mind, and thus, it really puts you and drives you to that edge. That laziness entity just engulfs you and drains your senses, so that, you suddenly wake up and your life's falling apart, or an aspect or relationship, your body, whatever it might be, is going in that direction. So your overall rate of transformation is very slow spiritually when you're lazy, because when you attach yourself to this entity, it means that you take an extremely long time to change, so long that you may not even change in this lifetime. And if you're on that inertial path, it can just, the older you get, as we talked about neuroplasticity in another video, it can make it very, very difficult to change and turn around this entity. And the older we get, the more ingrained we get into these kinds of sloths and whatever it might be. Here we're talking about the substance of laziness, and it can really get entrained into our whole body. Yeah, we know ourselves to be that person, or we think we're not lazy because we're busy cleaning the house or tending to our kids or doing different things, but people do have laziness in them, and we have to watch for where that is, in our own lives. If you're experiencing laziness, and more so as you get older, when you realize that time is limited in this life and there's only a certain amount of time and energy you have for the things that you really have meaning to you in your life, or you may not even have found meaning, and that could also be as a result of laziness. Now, a sense of desperation can arise within a lazy person, because desperation, because they start to see the things that are not had their effort, they've not put energy and effort into, and the laziness has made them weak. They're so weak that they're not able to change. They can't stick to their promises. They can't take their word seriously. And one can find themselves plunging back into seeing lack. Laziness really is about lack. It's not about abundance, into seeing and fearing effort and losing oneself again in that elusive reign of laziness. So that desperation can arise, panic, go full ball. But then because that inertia of laziness is there, it makes it very hard to actually turn it around. You have to put a lot of energy, especially the older you are, as in the longer your patterns have been in place. Yeah. So laziness simply comes from attaching to fear, and lies keep laziness in its place. Have you ever heard yourself make lots of excuses? Sometimes we will actually excuse our laziness. So we actually come up with lies so that we can keep that laziness in place. Yeah. So you want to look closely at what your excuses sound like. You can even ask people who you trust and love, and to be honest with you and tell you what they see in you in regards to laziness, and for you to take a look at how and why you have been so careless, and carefree. And I remember a long time ago, I used to think that carefree was a great thing. And really, when you think about it, carefree really means free of care. And sometimes people who are lazy do attach to the image of carefree, and it just really exacerbates that lazy entity within them. So the most important thing to connect to and to remember is the pain. You've got to connect. If you're a lazy person, you've got to connect to the feeling of the pain that laziness causes you, the pain that is felt when we don't like who we have allowed ourselves to become, the pain caused from a lack of trust in yourself, perhaps, and the pain of what laziness has caused you to lose or could be on the precipice of losing. So you need to wake up and you need to seize your warrior spirit. The warrior spirit is the only way that you can kill laziness, or at least just turn the volume down on it so that it doesn't control you anymore. And the warrior spirit comes through training your body. Your body needs to be involved, because laziness really does try to take the body out of the picture, like lazing around, eating whatever. It really makes the body very sluggish. So you need to wake up your body, and you need to also wake up your will. The first thing is your willpower. And the very, very first thing is feeling and remembering how painful laziness really is, because laziness will dull you like a drug into thinking that it's fine, all's good, and suddenly nothing's actually okay when you wake up to what slothful cover you've been under, and you realize actually nothing's okay. I really don't like where I am, but it may be that you feel like it's too late. I don't think it has to be too late for you if you are feeling lazy, but you have to want to change. You have to feel the pain, then you have to feel the substance of your willpower, and then you have to get into action. Now, exercise is always a really good one, and changing your diet is another really good one. Working with your physical body, as I've told, through the practice of Tayshara or other practices such as yoga, needs to be dynamic in order for you to change. You need to challenge that lazy creature inside of you that is quite stupid, really. You're way smarter than that entity. And so you want to have little things that challenge it, such as, just say if you're watching TV at night, do something while you're watching TV for half the time. Just say if you watch TV for an hour, do something active for half an hour, while you're watching TV to fucking, excuse my language, but just to shove that lazy, lazy monster where it belongs, put it in its place. To show yourself that you've got the willpower to change that entity into something that you control rather than it controlling you, because it will destroy your life. Yeah, laziness destroys lives, and it quietly destroys lives often. Yeah, especially when we've gotten into the habit of excusing it, then you don't see it anymore. Yeah, so I just wanted to do a video on laziness because it's an extremely destructive and it's often a silent killer, especially in the Western world. Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of fighting at the moment in the world. People have kind of woken up out of this, space that they've been in. Coronavirus has made them feel uncomfortable. Not everybody, I'm saying, but I am seeing that aspect happening at the moment amongst many other facets of what's happening. And it's sometimes people just need more suffering before they can pick up that sword and fight. And that willpower, your willpower is your inner strength. Remember in another video I said your endurance is a gift. Yeah. Your endurance is a gift, and you've got to find something to endure through. So if it's just half an hour out of an hour of doing something, whether it's like just moving your arms, just do something. There are techniques that you can do that we have, with the sacred gates to help you move on from that entity. And but just finding something, doing some sit-ups while you watch TV. Yeah, or sitting up in a position that's actually kind of, you have to endure something rather than just slothfully laying back, So watch out for laziness, people. It is a silent killer. It is a slippery little sucker.
Slippery little sucker.
And you don't want to live your life controlled by it. It'll waste you. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye now.